Lillian Rosemary Trillo was born on October 16, 1928, in West Oakland. As a young girl, she attended St. Mary's Catholic School until she graduated in 1942. She then went on to Holy Name Central High School, graduating in 1946. Lillian began her nursing career at St. Joseph College of Nursing in San Francisco, culminating in her nursing degree 3 years later in 1949. After nursing school, Lillian went to UC Berkeley for her RN.
I went from nursing school to Cal. Here's one story. I put myself through University of California, and I worked nights as a nurse. And I had this patient. She didn't really need anyone to be with her at night, that was for sure. But anyway, I was with her. And of course I got very sleepy, because I was going to school and working at night. And I thought, well, she doesn't need much help, and she can turn when she needs to. So I put, under the draw sheet, I put newspapers so I could hear her when she turned.
After graduating from Berkeley with her RN, Lillian then went to work for Providence Hospital in Oakland. Not long after joining Providence, Lillian and her classmate got the bug to go to Europe.
And I remember going with a friend to Berkeley to hear Jose Greco. Jose Greco was a dancer of Spanish music, and he was at the university performing. And so I went with this friend, and afterwards we stopped at Casper's Hot Dogs. I went to Casper's Hot Dogs. Well, we went to, and we were thinking about the performance and how wonderful it would be to see him in person. So we said, well, let's just go to Europe, just like that.
So Lil and her good friend Jill decided to go overseas for 6 months.
And we bought a Volkswagen before we ordered it, before we left. We called it our little bug. Chris, we called him Christopher. And we toured all over Western Europe.
Lillian returned to the States, but then decided to go to Mexico to learn Spanish.
And I had some nice experiences in Mexico. I met a couple of boyfriends. I met him in a class. The other one I met him ice skiing on the waters. I was there about maybe a year or two because I wanted to brush up on my Spanish.
After Mexico, Lillian went to Detroit to get her master's in nursing. While there, Lillian worked for the Visiting Nurses Association.
And I worked at VNA in Detroit, and that was very interesting.
Lillian credits her longevity and health from her bowling, walking, and running.
So I did a lot of bowling in those years, climbing Half Dome, and doing a lot of running with a friend of mine at Pidio, who also worked for the health department. We'd go to Cal State early, and we'd run around the field. And Pidio, I still miss because he was such a good guy. When I had lymphoma, he took me down to his mother's because there was a curandera there. He was a good friend, a very good friend of mine.
Lillian retired to battle her lymphoma full time, and after handily beating it and vanquishing it, she decided what to do with the rest of her life.
I thought to myself, what am I doing with my life? I can speak Spanish. I ought to do something, with it. Then I thought about starting an organization, helping the poor, people that need help, especially the Hispanics, because I thought I had the language and I had the skills of nursing. I think it was my own idea. What am I doing with my life? I could be more productive. I founded LACA to serve the poorest of the poor, and I'm proud to say we have accomplished that.
With our recent foray into Colombia for the Venezuelan refugee crisis, Lillian's LACA has expanded to 8 countries. Lillian organized medical and dental clinics throughout Latin America. Through the ever-changing needs of the community, LACA's projects now include much more than basic medical and dental care for the poor. Among them are health education, clean drinking water, housing construction, self-help cooperatives, microloans and solar cookers, and scholarships at all educational levels, and disaster relief. LACA also keeps children safe at the Nina Carolina Daycare Center in El Salvador while their single mothers worked. The Venezuelan refugee crisis is of great concern to Lillian and LACA. Lillian is LACA, and LACA is Lillian.
Thank you very much for your support all of these years. With your generous past and current support, LACA will be able to continue providing help and empowerment to the rural poor of Latin America.
On behalf of the LACA Board of Directors, we wish Lillian a happy 90th birthday. Happy birthday, Lillian!